right, guys, welcome to today's Limitless Agency team call. Just went through a ton of announcements. Looks like we have over 50 agents that have qualified for the cruise, a ton of people on track for a Hall of Fame, and some new exciting announcements coming up, as well as our sales conference coming up on June 3rd in Las Vegas. Today, we have the honor and privilege of hearing from Mr. Cole Eblin. I had it wrong, Cole. I had it with an M on the image before, but I changed it. So Eblin with an N.
That is okay.
Cole's been with us full time for just over a year, licensed for about 2 years now, 2 years now in total. But Cole, he's a top 1% producer in All Family First Life, top 40 producer. He just had a monster month here last month where he protected 70 families, and he's doing it all from home over the phone. And so, Cole, thanks for getting on, man. We're super excited to kind of hear your story and get some tips and nuggets that help you succeed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sweet. Well, if you want to just start with a quick, brief background, kind of how you got started, what you like about the industry, what you were doing before, and then from there we can kind of get into some tips and specifics.
Yeah, absolutely. I have been in sales for, I would say, close to 10 years now. The last job I had before this was a call center, so a very similar style, phone sales. And I started as an agent, moved up to a sales coach and then an operations manager. And that helped me a lot because I was coaching sales. Very became very familiar with the beast that it is and helping people overcome their struggles, which I now just use on myself day in and day out. And before that, door to door. So, knocking in the heat of the summer and, getting yelled at and spit on and kind of gives you a little bit of a tough skin. But a little bit of sales background helped me hit the ground running with this. I love this so much because it is what I was doing before, but with just an earning potential that is through the roof. It's unlimited, literally.
Yep.
Um, we'll get into that in a little bit, but like the numbers that I saw in the first year were pretty regular, like, sales agent working for a company. And then the numbers I'm seeing this year are like doubling, if not tripling that. And that's just due to me like locking in my process and spending more on leads. So it's really cool how like before when I would get a sale at my last job, it was $35. Was like the most that you would get paid for one sale. And thinking about that compared to how we can get 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 on one single sale, like it's insane. And for anyone, that I encourage people to give it a shot because you really just don't know, what you're capable of until you try it. And so many people are just employees busting their ass like we are, but they're not getting the return like we are.
Yep.
Super, super grateful for this whole thing. Everybody in this organization that's helped me and helped develop me. But yeah, that's a little bit about my background.
Were your door
Happy,
to door, your
happy.
door to door stuff, was that like pest control or solar or security systems?
So I was selling Hello Fresh, which is a Blue Apron alternative. It's a meal kit. And you're telling people, hey, we can have some fresh meat delivered to your front porch. How does that sound? And they're like, bro, it's 110 degrees out here. What are you asking me to do?
Wow.
But it was a good experience. It that was one of my first sales jobs. And it was interesting. I actually kind of started with an insurance agency right before that. And it was just night and day compared to them and FFL. Like it was, when you hear the kind of um, negative side of insurance sales, that it was that all day long. Like just kind of schemy, skeezy, like people walking around with gold watches and like Lamborghinis and like this could be you. And like they were asking for a ton of stuff up front and like give us a bunch of your people from your contact list and let's call them. And that just like turned me off. I literally got out of sales after getting into that briefly and went to customer service. And I was like, maybe it's just not for me, man. And I was making $11 an hour. And this was, maybe eight years ago or so, nine maybe. And but after a couple months of that, I was like, this cannot be what life is like. Like I know I'm worth more than this and I know I'm capable of more than this. So I gave it another shot. That's when the door to door came around, did that for about a year, got into the call center, enjoyed the air conditioning, and then really refined my skills and my style, and that led me to this. So I had a friend that worked with me at that call center, and he left to do mortgages, and I felt we were like kind of neck and neck as far as our performance, and I took the step into management. I took a little bit of a pay cut, but it was security and a decent paycheck. And I followed him on Instagram, and he went into mortgages, and he bought this nice car, and he's just like, just blowing up. I'm watching him on social media, and I'm like, dang, like that guy's not any better than me, like why can't I do that? So it took several years to gather the bravery and the courage to take the step, but so glad that I did, because being self-employed beats being an employee like every
Yep.
single day of the week. And that guy left mortgages to come to FFL and was making like the same, if not more money. And I was like, dude, you got to tell me what you're doing. Like, let's sit down and talk. And he was just my mentor. And yeah, ever since I've just been grinding and trying to refine the process. So
I love it. And last
yeah.
month, I don't know if you knew this because they just came out yesterday, and there might be some more that's added on once they update kind of all the numbers and everything. But you did 70 grand last month. You know that?
Nice.
Is that
That's
your
the goal.
is that your best
The
month?
goal, I don't know. I don't really, there's like the IP and there's the AP. I just track it on my little piece of paper right here, you know what I'm saying? And some of them don't go through. And
Yeah.
I like to track what actually processes and what gets me paid.
Yep.
But my goal is 20K a week. So the 70 doesn't surprise me. It's under goal actually. That's, that's not
You're
not
slacking.
quite up to my standards. It's lacking, yeah. 80K a month is the goal as far as like solid business submitting, and a little bit of that's going to fall off, but
Sure.
that's the goal. Yeah.
Awesome. So you did a couple different sales. You're out there, you're selling meat door to door. People are spitting on you. You're sweating, I'm sure. Not fun. I used to sell insurance in person too in the Arizona summer. If you've been out here
Yeah.
selling insurance, drive down south of Tucson and your back's already sweaty before your next appointment. So I totally
Exactly.
get that. Did you ever do any type of like was everything pretty much in person before insurance? And then you switch to kind
No,
of just all virtual or
no. So after door to door, it was that call center, and I did that for
got it.
6 years. So it was a credit repair sale, and it was I don't know if you've heard of Lexington Law Firm.
Yep.
It's this service that helps you get your credit up. So like,
Yep.
it's we're for the people. We're gonna fight to help, you make sure you have a fair and accurate credit report, and we're gonna help you get your negative items off your report so you can go get a house. So it was a very similar spirit of, hey man, we're here to help protect you, and we're here to help you advance your life and make sure that you and your family are taken care of. And that's always kind of what I've liked about a good sales job that I stay at, is it's a product that really helps people. Like, other than skipping a trip to the grocery store when you're selling something like a meal kit, there's no heart in that. It's just like,
Yeah.
hey, maybe this can help your life be a little more convenient. But that credit repair sale was my first, phone job. And I went into the office every day. We weren't work from home until after COVID for the last couple years, but that was over the phone sales. And that was my cup of tea. You know what I mean? When you can just sit behind your desk and have your little headset on and kind of pace around the room and just like talk to
Yep.
people. It's so efficient. It's so um, lucrative. So that's really what won me over and what made it so easy to hop into this.
Awesome. So you just said efficiency. Let's talk about that because that's something with our business is pretty cool. You live in Arizona, right?
Yep.
From from Arizona, are you like what's your schedule like? Are you waking up early and running like East Coast? Or are you just running like West Coast and then maybe like Hawaii or Alaska? Or what does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. Having East and West is important. I have two separate power lists in my dialer. We can talk about that if that's something that would
Yeah.
provide you guys value, but I use a thing called Kixie. It's
Yep.
just a software that like dials multiple numbers all at a time. I'm not using my thumbs anymore. I'm just like the computer is doing everything for me. And then, someone says hello and I look up and I'm like, hey, Hayden, and two power lists. So West Coast, East Coast. And yeah, I'm gonna determine what I'm dialing just depending on what time of day it is. I don't start super early, like I'm on the phones by 8 a.m., but by
Okay.
that time, the like breakfast prime time has passed in the East Coast. I catch the back end of it on the West Coast, um, and like Central, but a lot of my sales come in the afternoon. I think when I got off of final expense and got onto term IUL mortgage protection,
Yep.
now I'm working with some adults, young adults that have money. It's not, grandmas as much that are just available all day long. So,
Yeah.
um, it's they get off work and that's when they're free for a phone call. So the majority of my day is kind of packed in the afternoon, but I do start at 8. Um, and besides having some breaks and having some freedom and, living my life, I try to dial through the day as much as I can and then hit my mortgage appointments. So,
Yeah, for sure. In terms of leads, so I assume you started with final expense.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I always recommend. It's cheap. It's very simple. It's like a 5 minute presentation for new people. But as we progress, guys, there's some people that love final expense and they just want to get more leads and run that, which if that's your cup of tea, great for you. Most people, they learn the business from there and they start getting into more higher ticket sales and they start getting more advanced. So we're talking mortgage protection, we're talking IUL, and we're talking about adding on annuities for you, how big of a shift or change was that from just going to final expense to now, I assume spending more money and having, different leads and different lead types?
Yeah. Night and day, man. I don't want to trash final expense at all because that's like you just said, that's where I got my footing. That's where most people start.
Yeah.
And it really helped me learn the sale. Just more chargebacks. You see a lot of your business fall through with final expense. That's disheartening. So as soon as you learn final expense and you're comfortable and you've made a little bit of cash, I recommend switching over as soon as you can, just because, like you said, higher ticket sales, less people are just social security and living check to check and then insufficient funds,
Yep.
and things charged back. And that was the difference between last year and this year. Mostly was final expense last year made uh just like an employee wage, we'll call it,
Yep.
compared to switching over and getting my feet under me with term mortgage protection IUL sales this year. Doubled my money just like that. Like,
Yep.
so truly night and day.
That's a huge tip, guys. I remember when I first started, I was doing in person, I was doing final expense and I was working really hard. I was selling a lot, but for some reason, like a lot of my stuff wasn't issuing, it wasn't paying out. And I looked at Nina, after a few months, I'm like, how am I only protecting like 20, 25, maybe 30 families if I had a great month? And she's like, you
Yeah.
just keep your lead flow. And that was the same exact thing for me once I got into mortgage protection, it literally doubled. It went up to 40, 50, 60, 70 families a month. So that's a huge tip, guys. Don't be scared. It's not that much of a, harder sale or complex sale. You just have to learn it. In terms of like leads, Cole, are you going in like every single day and buying leads? Or are you like once a week, twice a week? And then what's your lead spend on average?
Yeah. So I buy mortgage protection every day just because it seems easier to have that consistent flow. I
Okay.
buy life insurance once a week. A lot of great leads in the ILC, a lot of different types of leads. And my life insurance spend weekly is about 1,000. And then my mortgage protection spend weekly is about 1,500 to 2,000. So I'm up 25 to 3 grand a week. Um, which, yeah, it's scary at first if you don't have the capital, but like get a little bit of capital under you and build it up. You don't have to take a leap from spending 500 to spending 3,000, like just increase it slowly, but you'll start to see the return increase as well. And
Right.
that's what's so beautiful about this. Like I can see this easily becoming $1 million a year thing by just increasing the spend, you know?
Yep.
And yeah, in order to not trip up and have a bad month and go broke, you should, increase it slowly. But um when you have the ability, spend more, you'll make more. Use what you made to spend more, and you'll make more, and you use what you made, and it repeats itself like that.
Yep.
So, yeah,
Love it. Dude, I saw yesterday on like the IP reports, I saw that there are three people over 800 families so far for the year. What's crazy is the last couple of years, top producer, if you do a million, 1.2, 1.3, you're number one, you're Steve, you're number one producer. This year, guys, there are three people on pace to do 2.5 to 3 million in terms of issue pay. And the only way you can get there, once you get the skill built, you can always improve, but you have the skill. Like Cole, when you dial the phone, you're probably pretty confident now that as long as they're, decently interested, you're going to be able to influence them, educate them, and then sell them. Well, the only way, guys, to get to those massive numbers from there, the only way is going to be appointments, and appointments come from marketing and they come from lead flow. And so if you don't increase one or both of those, there's no way. And so like what Cole's saying is when he was running final expense, spending 500, 600, $700, a week, he was protecting 10, 15, 20 families a month. But once he went to 2,000, 2,500, 3,000, he just protected 70 families last month. And you do the math and you're like, oh, 3,000 is a bunch of money a week. But when you're doing 70 relative to what you're spending, it's a phenomenal ROI.
yeah, absolutely.
What
No,
are
I actually start to enjoy seeing my spend increase now because like we got other things besides leads, and you put your own um all your little subscriptions that help, keep your business running in there. And last month it was 15,000. And normally it's not more than 10. 10,000 is like what I've been doing um to get the return that I want. And last month it was 15. And I'm like, all right, good.
yeah,
Let's keep bumping it up. And just switching the mindset from fear to opportunity is in itself just humongous because scared money don't make money, like
I love
if you
that.
look at these billionaires out here, they're not worrying about their overhead. They're like, send it,
Yeah. Yeah.
it'll come, it's gonna double. And that's just kind of the way that you have to look at it, I think.
I love it. What are some things that you kind of focus on, you say in the initial phone call? Like, I answer the phone. What are some things or what's your pitch, I guess, to kind of like keep them on the phone, get them interested, and then from there you go into your presentation?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's different for mortgage protection compared to life insurance. But if we're talking mortgage, it's like, hey, so the reason we're talking today is we're partnered with your lender. And when you purchased or refinanced your home and you signed the paperwork, you filled out a form for mortgage protection. That's why we're talking today. Grab a pen and paper. I want to start with my information. And even though like that pen and paper strategy was like day one final expense stuff, I use it to this day. I'm sure if not everyone, like a lot of people does. And that's huge because like you're now in control and you're commanding, and they're submissive and they're taking orders. And it's something for them to visually focus on. So, I give them my information and look, I'm a broker for the state. My job is to match people up with the best company that's going to give them the best rate. And people love that, right? It's like, all right, this guy is in with a lot of different carriers. He's gonna do the work for me. I think it's a different vibe from where it's like, hey, I'm with State Farm and let me tell you about what we have. And making that distinction between like I'm your soldier to go out and find you the best of the best. Hits with people a lot. And then just hey, we're gonna look at all the options out there and we're gonna review the best option together. So let me ask you a couple medical and financial questions. That'll tell you what you qualify for, and then we'll see what that best option is going to be. And that just gets people hooked. And that's all you need is you just need to get them on the hook.
Yeah.
If you pique a little bit of interest, like you're in there. It's just about not losing it before then. So being quick, being confident, but also calm and also, smooth. Because no one wants someone that's just going to rattle off 1,000 words at them really quickly and like kind of scare them. So it's a fine balance between calmness and confidence. Um, but and I'll talk about this a little bit later as far as like mindset and how
Yeah.
that
Go
bleeds
go for it.
into your tone. Um, but did you have another question
No,
before
no.
I like go on a rant?
Keep ripping, dude.
All right, cool. So, one thing that I had in mind to talk about was I think there's really two phases of like mastering your sale. And I can't like see the audience, but can you tell me a little bit about like the team? Are we a lot of newbies? Have we been in here for a while, or is it a good mix of
I would
of
I would
both?
I would say it's a pretty good mix.
All right. So I think there's two phases, and you may have heard this terminology before, but it's like phase one is skill, and that's like learning your sale. That is mastering your script, um, what to say, when to say. Sorry, I'm going to stand up here.
Yep.
Um, and just every single swing of the bat is essentially flawless. Like that's the cool thing about sales is we're not reinventing the wheel every day. We're not coming out here and trying to figure out how to cure cancer. You're literally just repeating yourself. You're just saying the words in a confident and commanding tone, right? So I think when you're new, like your 100% focus is get your script down. If your upline script doesn't work for you, you need to revise it.
Yep.
Um, when Ryan first sent me the script, like it's so much different from what he sent me. And the script was beautiful in itself, but like you need to the way Hayden says something is not necessarily the way you're gonna say something. So um reword the script so it sounds natural coming out of your mouth and make sure that like you like the way that you sound. If your calls are recorded, awesome. Listen to that shit like as much as possible. Um, if you've ever been in a sales job, your coach probably had you listen to your calls, and that's super important. And that's a big thing for myself is I wanted to know what I was sounding like to the client. When you're just in your own shoes, you don't have the outside perspective. So step out of your shoes and figure out how is this person perceiving me when I approach them on this phone call. But get your skill down. Like it needs to be Steph Curry level. You are hitting nearly every time. Like
Yep.
you don't fumble your words. You don't like lose your confidence and like start talking really fast. It's calm, even keel, exactly the same every single time. Other than maybe you need to switch it up if it's an old dude compared to a young lady, right? Um, but you need to have it locked in and make sure your script is just solid. Like for the first year, I was changing my script practically every call. Like when I didn't get a sale, I was like, all right, what caused that person to hang up on me? I need to go back, revise that section. All right, let's run it with the next person. Cool. They didn't have that same objection. That's solid, and now I don't change the script at all. It just leave it. When you have something that works, don't don't make any changes anymore. So that's what I believe to be phase one is skill. Phase two is will. When you have hit some big numbers, when you are confident in yourself and in your sales, it's now just mindset. I don't ever need to worry about if I've lost it, if I don't have what it takes anymore. It's strictly is my mind, body, and soul like ready for this today? So this is kind of the morning routine part that you asked about earlier.
Yeah.
Um, because it's now no longer about the script or what I'm saying. It's about how I'm feeling in the morning
Okay.
because we've all been in sales. I assume for a good amount of time, everyone out there. And you know that if you're in a bad mood, you're getting nothing today, right? Like no one wants to buy from someone who's in a bad mood. Whether you think you're hiding it or not, you're not. Like energy is contagious. So this whole will thing is mindset for sure, which I'll go into, but it's like vibration and energy as well. So for the mindset piece, like you've probably heard this 1,000 times, just have a morning routine that works for you. Um, get out of bed in the morning and sharpen your axe, right? Like there's a saying about cutting down a tree and having 8 hours to do it. and spending 6 of it sharpening your axe. That's what the morning routine is. If you
Yeah.
just roll out of bed and you start taking calls, like you're just carrying your grogginess and like your dream state into your work, which is not going to produce uh, money for you. So, like, I get out of bed and I do some physical exercise. Obviously, I'm not Arnold Schwarzenegger out there, but like I'm working up a little bit of a sweat and I'm like waking myself up with a workout in the morning. And then I am taking a shower. I'm eating a solid breakfast. I literally cook the same thing for breakfast every single day. And I don't mind it because I like it, but it's like it's enough protein and it just it's what works for me. So a big theme I think in sales is figure out what works and just keep doing that shit. Like consistency
Yeah.
is another thing that we'll talk about. But eat a good breakfast and then I meditate for like 10 to 15 minutes. And that's huge because that clears your mind and that makes you receptive. Because when we have future and past running through our melons, like that it doesn't allow good to come in and you're distracted. So I meditate, I clear my mind. I do gratitude. I have a little book, and every single morning it's just a small one, like a pocket size, but I fill that page every single morning with things I'm grateful for, because the more you appreciate what you have, the more you can get. And then affirmations. I'm saying I am blank. I am blank. And if you feel you lack anything, you need to be affirming that you are that thing rather than you lack it. So those 3 things are huge: meditation, gratitude, affirmations. And then I go on my walk. Having the sun hit your skin in the morning, like, is super crucial too. It's easy to not do that in Arizona and just kind of stay in the dark, but that wakes me up. And all of these things are just sharpening my axe for the day. And then by the time I 8 o'clock comes and I take my first call, like, I'm a god, I feel great. And no one can say no to me. And even the people that do say no to me, it doesn't, like, there's zero chinks in my armor. Like, it just brushes off and on to the next one. And
Yeah.
that's the mindset that you have to have. If it's anything less than that, like, you're short of your potential. So um, last thing is the walk. I'm getting out in the sun. I'm taking the dogs around the neighborhood a couple times, and I'm listening to a good, like, audiobook. I think reading something like self-improvement or like manifestation is huge because it's filling your brain with just goodness and like confidence and attraction. And once you do your meditation or you pray, maybe whatever it is to clear your mind in the morning, like, start filling your brain with everything that you want in there. I can't be listening to like some violent rap music or like some like drama TikToks, is a lot of the things that I hear around me. And I'm like, put some headphones in, like, shut that shit off. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want that. I don't want that in my being at all. Like, I'm super intentional with what I put in my body, and that's not just food. That's things that you hear, things that you see. Um, because what you are, you become. So anyway, I go on my walk and I listen to a good audiobook. And like, if you need suggestions, like, Ryan Holiday is one of my favorite. He's got 2 amazing trilogies out there. It's like stoicism, but it's also just mindset, and it's like kind of spiritual. And if you haven't read Think and Grow Rich, like, just classic. And that genre of scripture where it's almost like spiritual is what I fill my brain with every morning. So that's part of the will thing. And that helps me come to the plate just ready to hit a home run every single time. And I know I can't lose with that mindset because it's just, I don't know. I've spent the last 2 hours just like prepping my whole being for success. And like I said, when the day doesn't start out your way, who cares? Like, I'm gonna get it this afternoon, no matter what. And if I'm not getting it like I'm normally getting it, like, I'm not taking as long of a break in the middle of the day. I'm just grinding. Um, but I definitely get super spiritual with it. And it might be a little too woo woo for some people, but like, when I'm meditating, I put myself energetically in the vibration that I want. So I'm straight up like practicing emotions, which is something that we don't do a lot. When people talk about mindset, it's a lot of like practice your thoughts, make sure your thoughts are good. But thoughts don't attract, vibrations attract. So as I'm meditating, I'm straight up like abundance. And then I just like feel the emotion of abundance for like the next, you know, 10 breaths. And you can feel it in your heart that your energy starts to change. And whatever it is you want more of in your life, if it's love, if it's happiness, if it's, you know, strength or whatever, just practice those emotions because that will then start to bring you the things that you want. So that's step two, will. When you have the skill locked down and there's nothing else that Hayden can teach you, you need to just refine your mind and your soul to where you are aligning yourself with the results that you need. And the results will just come as long as you have the confidence and the faith and the discipline, right? And the last piece of that is consistency. Of course, you can't just have the skill and be in a good mood and then just expect like $1 million. Third step is just do it every single day, like clockwork. Like you have to be consistent because if you're only putting in half the effort, half the days, you're short of your potential. And then the very last thing I'll say before I finish this rant is having a higher purpose is super important and goes along with the will piece. Um, because if you're just trying to get rich so that you can like buy a mansion and then, you know, get a fancy car, like it's not going to happen as easily. Like the I hate to say it, but like the universe doesn't really care about you like that selfishly. If you're just kind of selfish with it, but having a higher purpose, which a lot of people call their why, is crucial because when you're truly out to improve the world or improve your family or improve the people around you, like things are just going to naturally come better for you, um, because you actually have a reason that you need this money. And I would hope for everybody, I'm trying to get rich so that I can not work again, so that I can do blank, right? And whatever that thing is, like that needs to be top of mind as well. So I think that's all I have for skill and will and confidence, but that's kind of the ladder that I climbed, and just literally day in and day out, like keeping those things in mind. It kind of makes you invincible.
Yeah, dude, that was phenomenal. If you guys don't know what he's talking about, like the skill thing, record yourself. I challenge every single one of you guys that are on here, if you're watching it on recording, record yourself doing your script. And I guarantee you it's not going to sound good your first recording, but as salespeople, like, dude, we should be able to just like rattle off the script like an elevator pitch. You should be so good and so consistent at that. Because if you're not, it's like, how are you really gonna sell people? But after that, like, I'm sure you got like through the computer screen, Cole's radiating confidence. He's not scared. Like, he's gonna win. Like, Cole is a winner, obviously, and you can hear it in his tonality. You can hear it in his development, like everything he's saying. But after you have the skill down, the most important thing, just like if you're a basketball player, just like if you're a football player, they don't show up to games, eating McDonald's and show up, 30 minutes before the game. Dude, like they have a game, let's say at 4 p.m., they're getting there at, 7, 8, 9. They're having a healthy breakfast. They're going through warm-ups. They're meditating. They're taking a shower, like all these things to get their mind right. But more importantly, I would say even more than skill, what Cole touched on of will and mindset. Cole has a bulletproof mindset. And if you can, it's almost like a superhuman superpower thing. And it's weird to describe, and you don't know what it is unless you've tapped into it. But if you can prepare like Cole does every single day, if you have that confidence, if you're feeding your brain, if you're feeding your mind, all these kind of things, dude, when you get on the phone, it's just like, hey, let's just pound out the work because you're confident, you're prepared, you're ready to go. So dude, that was fantastic. The Ryan Holiday stuff, Obstacles Away, all of his books, I read them, phenomenal books. I encourage you guys to do that. And if you don't have a morning routine and a routine like Cole, I would challenge you guys also the next couple of days leading into the weekend next week, start to kind of piece together a routine. just like leads and sales. You don't have to go from zero to hero. But maybe if you're not doing any of those things, maybe let's start with a walk in the morning. Maybe let's start with a healthy breakfast. Maybe let's start with a podcast. And then you start stacking your wins where to now you sound like Cole, you're unstoppable. You're protecting 70 families a dang month, and he's just getting started himself. Dude, that was phenomenal. We're super excited, to be working with you. Thank you for all the nuggets. If you guys miss anything or you just want to watch it again, I would watch this thing twice because there's so many nuggets. You're going cruising here in July, Cole. So congrats on that, bro. Hall of Fame is getting real close. And I think last time I checked, dude, you're like 37, 38, 39, something top 40 in FFL. So we're pushing for top 10 and beyond from you, man.
Oh yeah. Appreciate you.
Oh,
Thank you for having me.
awesome. Appreciate it. If you guys want to work with Cole, you guys were, in door to door and you're selling meat, you're doing any of that kind of stuff, getting spit on like Cole was, reach out to him, Cole Eblin. He's an absolute stud. We'll put this thing up on YouTube and we'll see you guys next week. Have a great day and a great weekend, and we'll see you soon.